It is working. Thanks very much, Bill. And thank you very much for inviting our little, or part of our little working group, which is tasked with developing plans and various getting contracts together, etc., for the expansion of the Weston Creek Tennis Club, which, as many of you will know, is down opposite McDonald's at Weston Creek. Before I get into start talking about, which I'm sure you because the grant and sort of thing and what's going to be happening, I thought I'd just give you a very quick potted history of the Weston Creek Tennis Club. First of all, it's a public tennis facility. Back in October 1971, a man by the name of Jock Dixon, who some of you here may know, he not only started the tennis club here at Weston Creek, he started the soccer club and so many other things from his house in Warramanga. And so in 1971 we got going. December 1973, and remember 73 is going to come back in a little bit, Mr. Ken Willis, who was the president of Tennis ACT, opened our four-court complex. This year is our 50th anniversary. The Tennis Association just recently had 100 years of tennis in the ACT, so we're half of that. But we've been around for a long, long time. We have 12 courts down there. They've all got artificial grass on them, and they all have lights. And probably many of you know a lot of this. We work very, very closely with the business community here. We work very closely with other organisations, schools, both primary schools and high schools. We have a range of programs available for people of all ages and all standards of play. As I said, we're very much a community-based club, and it's just back in the fires of 2003, we were one of the only organisations that was providing services for, because after the bushfires, there's so many other places where it had been burnt out and this sort of thing, and so it acted as a bit of a focus for people in the area post the bushfires. Similarly, during COVID and all the lockdowns, we were one of the only clubs, in fact, in the ACT, able to provide services in terms of tennis to people so they can go and exercise. And we started up a number of programs down there which enabled people separated nicely the way that had to be according to the ACT government. And so we went through a whole process to get that all approved. So I guess the message is very much we're a part of this community, and I myself was born in Canberra, worked in other places around Australia. I've come up back here with my family and started life here way back in Weston Creek in 1975, and I've basically been here ever since. So let's get into what's happening now. Thanks, Bill. We'll go to the first slide. Okay, the Commonwealth was, the current federal government in an election pledge committed some $800,000 for a project to build 4 new tennis courts at our complex down at Weston Creek, the opposite McDonald's. The ACT government also chipped in with $100,000. Now, the reason they had done this is because they saw value in the fact that we had the ever-expanding Molonglo area out there. Tennis courts cost a lot of money to put in, and here's the federal government is helping to provide some needed funding to expand, and it means that the ACT government doesn't have to expend large sums of money on a large tennis facility, which this whole area does need. And remembering that we not only provide services to Weston Creek, we also go to Tuggeranong and also to the new Molonglo area. So it was a win-win for the ACT government, and that's why they've been involved. That's the next slide. Sorry. Now this is just a basic plan. I thought it was the easiest way to show you where the new courts are going. So basically the red box there is where the 4 new courts will be erected. That whole block and section, which has got the yellow around it there, is our land, and we've had a lease of that land for now. We have a 99-year lease of that land. That's the next slide, Bill. Thank you. So we've got a number of key stakeholders that we're involved with. Now, I won't try and pronounce the acronym, but it's the Federal Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development, Communication and the Arts. Obviously, ACT Government, Sport and Rec. Tennis ACT, which is one of our partners in that they are a big body and they, if you like, represent at various forums all tennis clubs in the ACT, and of course ourselves, because we own the lease, obviously, and it's our courts, so therefore we need to be integrally involved. Next one, please, Bill. Okay, we've already got a number of things that we know that we've got to complete. And these, we call these the preliminaries, and these things, we've got to try and get some of these, much of this out of the way before the 3rd of June 2023. The things such as geotechnical surveys, basically you're digging holes in the area, in that red box that I showed you there. We're digging holes in that area to find out what we need to do once we've levelled it, etc., and to make sure that we've got the substructure there that is strong enough to take, you imagine, the weight of 4 concrete courts. They'll be the same sorts of courts, if you like, as the courts out at Lynham, one with the blue covering, and you've probably all seen it out at the Australian Open. And particularly young people love those sorts of courts. We oldies, we prefer the mod grass courts because it's better on our calves and legs, and of course the clay courses, some of those out of line, but we again leave those to the young ones. We've got to do typical surveys of the boundary, and our boundary is along Stretton Drive on the western side there. We've also got to just make sure that all the services that they say are there, and of course remembering that these were all the early plans were all done by National Capital Development Commission way back in the 70s. This is before we had self-government, and we had ACPLA and these sorts of organisations. We've got to develop working drawings, including site plans, court layout design, and any landscaping that needs to be done. We need to get a project plan with timelines and milestones, and a fairly high level cost estimation, and key budget items. Now, all of these things have to go into the application. Governments are good at this sort of thing. They make these announcements, but we have to go through this hurdle of ensuring that that they want to see value for money and these sorts of things. And although they've announced it and all, we still have to go through this application process, which is a fairly routine sort of process. But I can tell you that when you print out the documentation and your printer is red hot because there's just reams and reams of information that they want, it is not an insubstantial request of information. Thanks, Bill. Now, other work that's underway, we're obviously communicating with the key funding stakeholders that I mentioned there before. Jeff, who's our project coordinator, has been out seeking quotations from possible project management companies. both within the ACT and outside of the ACT, and of course completing this mighty application English is about yay thick for the department. Thanks, Bill. We have a small working group. Now, Peter Ward, who is our president, sends his apologies. He's not able to be here today. He's the chair of our little group. And we've got Philip Stevens, who always got to have your treasurer on hand, and of course Jeff, who is our project coordinator, and myself. Now we all come with a combined experience. I won't go into a number of years, but we either have been senior public servants, or in the case of Philip, engineering side of things with the Army, and with Jeff. Am I allowed to say that a leading light in the building of or assisting in the building of the new Parliament House? I'm allowed to say but Jeff has had a long experience in significant building projects. So I'm just trying to get across the notion that we're not all, we're not all green behind our ears, but we do feel that we know what we're doing. Just for information there's a website which you can find out more information, and I understand that Bill will be sending this information around to you if you require it. Also, if you'd like to contact me if there's any particular detailed questions you might like to ask after this session, by all means I'll take any phone call, as long as it's nice. Next one, which is just a final one, Bill, if I could just put in we've got to sell our wonderful tennis club. It's just basically a little bit of what we do down there. So as you can see, they're our rates. Now, we try and keep them as low as possible because of our public background, okay, and our community focus. I think if you compared our yearly rates of membership to say even soccer or any other sport, you would find that our rates are very much lower than those rates. So I think that might do me, Bill, and I thought at this stage, I said there's time for question and answers, and so what I might do is get Philip and Jeff to come up, and we can split the appropriate speciality between us.
Thank you very much, Graham. Very informative. Now, we have some technical problems tonight. We always do with electronics. We're going to have guest questions here, and our speakers will be speaking from there. So if you've got a question, please come to the microphone. And it's not being anything impeded. It's so people at home can actually hear what we're saying. Because we do get a bit of an online following.
So is it best if we all go?
No, you speak there. We're all set up. As long as we talk to a microphone, we talk to that microphone, and it ends up in somebody's lounge room. Maybe somebody you know.
Fair enough.
So, are there any questions? Nora? Microphone. No. I probably can.
You probably have, if you want to have this one.
Okay.
I was just wondering what you think the cost is going to be. You said it's a high cost.
We've got some money, not a great deal. So we're going to say 800,000 plus 100,000 in terms of the total cost. You're looking at about 900,000. I think that's safely the same as previous.
Well, that's the money at the moment that is being promised from different locations. We've got some indicative estimates of building the courts, which are significantly larger than that. We've got the money being promised, and we have a currently looking to engage some specialists, who will give us an estimate of specifically what we're trying to do. And that's really the process at the moment, looking for what we're trying to do, the money we've got, and coming up with a plan that will match those.
We'll have to tailor our budget.
Like anything.
Yeah, we'll have to tailor our project to meet the budget, in other words. If we've got to cut off a couple of courts, or the 4 courts, the new courts, plus adding 2 resurfacing of 2 courts that are wearing out, are supposed to be covered by our grant. And if we can't manage the resurfacing of the courts, and we have to go to our own. So it's up in the air at the moment, but
in terms of total project and total money, the difficulty for us, like as you could well imagine, just as a little bit of pot of history, you might remember the federal government communication arts grants, which were sometime back in 2018. We put in for one of those, and we were told that we were sort of second tier. You know, it was a good one. Look at it, and then the whole raw thing came out that they said no, we're not going to go ahead with it. Since that time, of course, and this program has come out of that federal government program. It's the new one, if you like. Since that time, there have been so many increases in project costs, in people costs, and also trying to find them. So what we think was going to be 4 courts plus a bit maybe, as Jeff and Philip were saying, we've really got to look at the whole project and see where we can pare it back, because we haven't obviously got the money, the 900,000 to do all the things that we'd love to do. Like in any budget, we've got to pare it back. Yeah.
But on a positive point though, we will be building courts. Exactly the numbers and the time, and it's part of the growth of the club. We will be getting more members coming certainly from the Stronglow Valley area, and even without that, our membership is growing. So the club is very vibrant and expanding. And we've just got to keep the facilities in line with being able to service that well. So from a Weston Creek point of view, it's all good news. We've just got a nice juggling act here of when money will come, and the current grant that we've been promised is a really good amount of money to do something significant. What exactly that is, we'll find out.
And one of the things too, Bill and I had if you like, a bit of an hour session talk. Philip's been working on a bit of an infrastructure, what's going to happen in the future type thing. Apart from this is apart from this new project we're going through with. And one of the things is perhaps an expansion and renovation of our current clubhouse. Now, I'm fully aware that trying to get meeting space and these sorts of things, and so for a group such as yourself, where do you meet, particularly because, as I understand it, there's getting less and less places to actually meet. Over here at the Raiders Club, it's really hard to get hold of a meeting area. This is another area where we, as a community club, if we expand the club, well, it's another meeting area. Now, it's not part of this project that we've got on now. It's something down the track, and I think it's something that we can certainly work with the community, with you folk, to sort of, and your council, because I can't see any reason why you couldn't meet. We've got heaters and everything down there, and so why you couldn't use an expanded area down there to meet. And so there are like synergies, I think, between us.
You answered the question I was going to ask, I think, Graham. Are you going back through grants processes and big budget processes to try to get some further funding? Because the pressure is becoming quite acute to get a meeting room, the same spot, same time, month in, month out. And I know our friends over in Wollongong are feeling it as well. And we've now seen, isn't it politicking, the DA were over here to the Raiders Club.
Yeah.
Now, don't tell me they're not going to do something significant there.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're trying to get out of clubland and into housing and offices and things. So who knows where that'll go. And we've now seen one for the local club at Stirling, which has fallen into the cracks of the submissions and planning inquiry. So they've got intentions of doing things. You know, what's the best balance for the community? So obviously we're very supportive of what you're saying and thinking.
Yes.
But we need a time frame as well.
That would be an excellent relation. Philip's been doing the work on that, and so maybe it's some feed into the work that Philip's doing in terms of the ongoing infrastructure further down. That's, I think that would be a good partnership, yes.
One new best friend.
Indeed, and just to expand it a bit more broadly, the challenge with many facilities at the moment is how do we make it inclusive, and also for people who have any mobility. Are we sensitive to gender, the needs of different genders? All those things are now a different way that we have to look at the facilities that we build. And that's very much in the mind of the working group here when we talk about and even briefing some of the potential contractors. Today we're all talking about access, the levelling of the land, and those elements are very important to us, to be inclusive, to make sure we're providing facilities for everyone to use. And the government is very strong on multi-use facilities, just as we're talking here, and in any submission we put together, this is the sort of information we should put on and specifically mention maybe where the Weston Creek Community Group is one of our brother organisations that can use these facilities, and that makes the government very comfortable that they can see multi-use infrastructure being built.
So yeah, I think Jeff, do you got?
No, I'm fine.
It's something like even a letter of support, and we can perhaps show you some of the stuff that we're thinking about, and perhaps you can feed into that. One of the things on our side, if we can work quickly on this, is that as all governments do, they end up with underspends. And the ACT government is no different. And so the thing is, if we can, this is why we're doing this future infrastructure thing about the clubhouse, is because if there is some spare money around, I think it's in all our benefit to use as much as, particularly in the Weston Creek area. And so I think probably sooner rather than later we can have a little discussion and see if we can get something, because you never know, in the back pocket of the ACT government might say, well, look, we've got spare XXX. If this is going to be for can be used by the community, which it would be, let's go.
Don't you always like a burglar who can read a budget paper? That's really great. I know how to read it too, and I know it. The other issue that's come up when we talk about that area down there is safety. Now, we did a survey of women safety a few months back now, and we had a very able person MC session, and we got some good information out there. And I think we'd like to share the report with you, because it might give you some clues of other things you might want to watch out for in your submissions.
Right.
Just awareness of lighting, activating areas, those sort of things.
I've actually written many letters to various, even before the young boy was murdered down there. You may or may not be aware of the groups of mainly boys who decided to go and have it sounds shocking, but it happened, to have a fight with chainsaws. We were, because we were a little bit isolated down there, it also became an area, it's started to clean itself up now, but there were drugs and this sort of thing, as you probably We have a lot of activity during the night. We play night social on Wednesday night. We had the occasional situation where there was some interference with players, including women. Coaching, and there's pretty much play every night down there. Coaching young children, we had a situation where a couple of young boys smashed a mother's front window while she was waiting for her children to be coached. This was in the later afternoon, and she had the audacity to photograph with her mobile phone these boys who decided to do wheelies. And we're all aware of the wheeling and stuff that goes on. And for that, she got a smashed window and told to, they tried to actually take her mobile phone off her until some other more burly males intervened. So, yeah, I think any of that sort of stuff I think is good, because it will certainly back up our letters which will go into things like lighting, CCTV cameras and things. So the safety point is well taken.
Okay, we'll share that with you in the coming days. Are there any other questions from anybody? Please. Judy, are you able to come to the mic? Sorry. Speak up for the video.
I was just wondering whether the expansion of the clubhouse was also part of the budget that you got allocated for the expansion of the tennis courts.
No. It's a separate one that we've been asked to put in some separate ideas over and above everything that I talked about here on the overheads. The focus of this current project is on tennis courts. Yes, on tennis courts.
So that's a long-term project for the expansion of the clubhouse?
Correct, yeah. But it may be accelerated quickly, depending on if there is any spare appropriation money from ACT government. That's why we need to do this before, definitely before the 30th of June this year.
Is there any potential for fundraising or that sort of thing?
Well, we've tried that over the years, but the amounts of money that you're looking at these days, it takes a lot. Well, you can see where we're dealing with, and we're in that sort of. We for our membership, we rely totally really on grants and government and so we do and have over time. We've had members put in their own money as debentures, and we did that to build or help to build for the courts 9 to 12 down there. And that worked for us well. So it shows you how committed our membership is, that they're willing to put their own money on the line, sort of thing. So we have that.
At present, we don't have a great deal of sponsorship going on in the club, but it is now, we've already got some work underway identifying some businesses that would like to advertise and sponsor the club. Some of them are medical and physiotherapist organisations. Given the tightness of the funds and even from the government, we will need to start looking at a mutual relationship with businesses to say, how do we collectively move forward? What's your business? How can it relate to a tennis club or a sports club or a combined tennis community club, which is what we are? And how can we develop then the infrastructure to support the whole community? So, down back to a grant point, we do need to be looking at significant amounts of money there, and this is good for Weston Creek, good for the tennis club, and good for everyone, because the things we're all looking to do as a community need good facilities to support them, and that's where it's moving. So it's early days yet in that, and we shall see.
So maybe you could push the benefit that's going to spin off from the use of the expanded clubhouse and so forth, so this it's not just limited to tennis players.
Oh, no, that's exactly right. So this is why we want to have this relationship with Bill. And if we can get Bill and your input to that in some of this infrastructure, labour infrastructure work. Once you get the money, you can actually adapt the thing to make it fit. Just before I forget too, just in relation to your question about fundraising. This is where our membership is one part, and we have about 440 members. We also hire the courts out to a range of people throughout the ACT. We've got a computerised thing, a court system called Book a Court, and that has proven to be very, very successful. And we also hire out the courts to our tennis coach, who might go down there on a Saturday morning just to have a look at how wonderful it is to see young people running around on 12 tennis courts, all being coached. It really is a pleasure to see. And so we've got that sort of income from that coaching. And then we've also got, we hire courts out for major championships and these sorts of things.
Okay. We're also hiring out the courts businesses, some of them are Weston Creek businesses, and they have their own staff events doing this. So we're very much focusing on how do we make the club more available to the community. That's been reinforced by the Stronglow community will be coming here, which would be of significant benefits to the businesses in Weston Creek, because you've got people already arriving close to the shopping precinct. There's opportunities there. Any advertising that can be done when we're in the club is for services that are here. So it's sort of one of those things that will not only draw the two communities together, which is very good from a city point of view, but also from the two communities and the business community, looking to say these are all mutually operating facilities. That's why the government will fund them, some part of them, but we all own them. So how do we make them provide all the services, or as many services as we can?
Fantastic. I think I heard you talk about championships. Do you think the expansion will bring more championship level competition into Weston Creek? Bring people from interstate or other end of Canberra to compete with Lyman?
That's already happening.
That's really why they want the 4 hard courts, these new hard courts. They are the ones that the competition people want.
So junior-wise, we have people coming from competing from all around Australia here at junior championships here in Weston Creek area, and they love it because it's so close to the businesses here. Whereas in other locations it's somewhat isolated. As Jeff said, if you could imagine, when they run tournaments and things, they might have the main facility at Lyman, using the nice blue-coloured courts that you've probably seen them on TV. Well, we're going to have the same thing here, and what would happen is that part of that major tournament would be, particularly for the feeding stuff, going to before they have their finals and things. You might have a draw of anything up to 220, 230 people, and so we don't, without using us and our new courts, it couldn't happen. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I've got one final question. It's a question I ask anybody coming here talking about development. Solar panels. Are you installing solar panels down there? Are you going to put more in? Are you going to put more in? And are you going to Evo Energy to seek some sponsorship from them?
Yes to all those questions. If we get the new clubhouse extended, we'll have more roof coverage, so we'll put more solar panels in.
We've already got solar panels down there.
Yeah, but we've got a roof.
Yeah. But you've got a big bitumen car park down there.
Not our car park.
We won't. we did own that, but due to
Understood.
anyway, we gave it very nicely to the ACT government at the time, but yeah.
Just a little question, are the scouts still down there?
Yes.
Oh, yes, it's still there.
Did you have a separate?
They're on a different block. Different block to the next to us.
In fact, if you go to Bill, if we're able to just go back to the, I'll just show you that, back to that plan there, and it's an interesting question actually, because, okay, if you
You can see it, you can see it there.
here in point. There's the scout ball there. Now, this line isn't exactly right. We have to do that with the computer. Our boundary actually runs along the wall of the scout ball. I don't know why it does that. That's where the true boundary is. Yeah, so anyway, the scout ball is there and will remain there. Yes, I think I'm right.
Ask another question, making him do that again.
Have you contacted the men's shed to help you with building?
Sir?
Have you contacted the men's shed to help you with the buildings that they want?
Well, the sort of building is the expertise that we'll be requiring. It's not as if you just go and, as one person thought would be, you get your concrete truck there, you put down your mesh, and away you go. No, because we only have to look at the millions of dollars, and it has been millions, that has gone into the North Woden Tennis Club. It's simply because they didn't worry about any geotechnical work, they didn't worry about getting a proper contractor who knew how to build concrete tennis courts. What happened? Trees, weeds, shrubs, everything came up through the courts, and they've got to go back and redo the whole lot. So we don't want to go through that process.
Two quick questions. One is, how many members do you actually have?
450, you'll say approximately, yeah, 434, yeah.
And the second one, the grant you said started in 2018. So has that been carried? That was when you did your original.
Yes. Correct. Under the previous government, they had these community grants which anybody could apply for, and we did substantial work to put in it. It was about an inch thick of stuff and all this data and so on, and that's what people want this. But then there was the blow up about that they went to certain electorates and this sort of thing. May or may not have, who knows what the story was there, but anyway, they had to can it, and then, but essentially a lot of the ideas that we had in that were able to, subsume to some extent into this new one. But it's not, but if you like, two completely different processes now.
Yeah, so this was then a separate grant that you
Yes.
applied for?
Correct.
In there, and just in that DRT, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So then, was there a time limit set on that?
It's a good question. The time limit for we've got to try and get in this application, prior to the 30th of June this year. And when I say that's the application, that's why we have to do all the preliminaries work. You've seen up on the slide there, and that was the geotech, the work plans, and all those ones that were in dot point down there. They have to be all done, and the difficulty for us is that we don't, because we're a community public, we don't have the sort of the level of funding to fund that part of it. So we're going to the ACT government saying, look, can you release some of your money early for this particular project, and to see if we can actually have that funded. I think that's, Jeff, did you want to talk about
I don't think we talk about that.
No. It's work in progress, but it's things that you've got to do sometimes to try and progress things quickly, yeah.
Are there any other questions then? Okay, we'll let you go. Thank you very, very much for that, and congratulations. And we do applaud what you've done. And we'd like to
I'd like part of the way of letting our community know, what we're doing, and looking forward to a good cooperative relationship and a letter of support would be in relation, particularly the further infrastructure stuff, would be brilliant.
We'll talk about that next day or two. I don't see any objections to a letter in the room. Okay, that's done. So we'll talk in the next few days. I'll get the video up for you. I'll send you a link to the video and you can spread it around your group. And now you're welcome to stay and listen to our MLAs. We've got 2 of them in the room and myself ranting, or go home to your families.
Well, we all come from large families, so probably we'll leave you with it, and if there's any follow-up work to be done, apart from the obvious one with the letter or whatever, let me know, and we'll talk. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.